Good afternoon and welcome to another studio sessions. David Hughes here, manager of Emporium Creative Hub. I'm really excited today to be talking to you about a business incubation program that we have just launched. And I'm joined today by the people who have brought this exciting program together, Leah Sertori, Jason Clark and Lisa Smith. They'll be joining me in the stream just shortly. What I will just do before we kickstart, though, is I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we are all meeting today, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. And for myself, and I believe for Leah as well, that is the Jajawurrung of the Kulin Nation. Jason, Lisa, what about you guys? Jason?
I think we're the Wurundjeri people, and it's the Wurundjeri Nation and the Woiwurrung people. That's where we're from.
And I'm currently staying over in Dandenong, which is in the Green Wedge. So we're Wurundjeri, the Bunurong and the Boonwurrung people as well.
Fantastic. Well, we pay our respects to those traditional owners also. Welcome, guys. I'm really excited today to be talking about the business incubation program that we just launched earlier this week, actually. A business incubation program designed specifically for people in creative industries. So many people watching today, if you're watching from Bendigo, may know Leah. She may be known for her role as CEO of Be Bendigo some years ago, and also more recently as executive officer at Lead Lon Murray. And we are also joined by Jason Clark and Lisa Smith from Minds at Work. And I'm sure Jason and Lisa, through the course of this conversation, will be able to tell you a little bit more about the work that they've done and how that is very relevant to the things we're going to be talking about today. As always, we encourage you guys who have tuned in on Facebook to ask questions. That is what this is about. We are going to talk broadly about the incubation program, but if you have any specific questions, if you are interested, then this is the time to ask them and get very direct and specific answers to your questions. Before we get started, I will just let you know if you are tuned into this and you do have a creative business, creative enterprise or idea in your mind at the moment, then we also have a great session tomorrow about the basics of business planning that we are running in conjunction with AFS Accountants at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So jump on our website and you'll be able to register there for that. They're also doing a session for us next week, next Friday, key metrics for keeping your business on track as well. And the other event that we're running next week that I'll just let you know about is something called Share and Connect, which is very relevant to the discussion we're having today because it's all about connectivity. And it's about, in these times, how do we as a creative community get to connect with other creatives, get to share what we're doing, whether it's our business, our projects, our ideas, what we're working on, and just get to share that with people and have them share it with you. So there's a Share and Connect event next week. And if you're interested in being a part of that, again, jump on our website and register. All the details are on there. But without any further ado, we will jump into today's topic, which is about business incubation. And what I'll do is I'll throw the first question to you, Lisa, if you don't mind. And it might be a good place to start off if we just talk about what is an incubator and what does it do for a business?
So, well, at its highest level, an incubator is a place you come together and we shine light on whatever it is you need at a point in time. So one of the things that we notice as we work with groups, you'll get them together and you'll have a conversation and people will be like, it would have been so wonderful if we'd known this last year. Or imagine if, oh my gosh, if I'd connected with this one person who had this particular skill set that could really help me make my business an extraordinary thing. And the incubator, I think, short circuits all of that. You've got a group of people working with you. You've got people who are going through the program with you, as well as mentors and other people who come in and shine that light for you. So show you where your idea needs work, give you hope that your idea actually does make some sense and brings in the soft and hard skills that you would need to either prove your idea as a winner or maybe find the weaknesses so that you can, de-risk it a little bit if you like.
Yeah, great. And I love that analogy about shining a light. So incubator programs, people may have heard lots about incubator programs, and that's probably a really good summary of what an incubator program is, but they exist across all industries. Jason, what is it, what's specific to an incubator that is designed specifically for the creative industries?
Oh, that's a good one. Actually, I think you said it in your introduction, Dave, isn't it? If you want to take a business through a business incubation process, then there's a sort of almost a standard factory model where you advance your business and you work out your business plan and all the rest of it. If you're doing a creative business, it's got to be sort of bespoke. You're finding your own way. You're having to create something that we don't have a pre-former for. So I think the needs of the creative industry are different in that sense. I think the other thing is that the creative industries are essentially collaborative. You know, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, these are collaborative enterprises. Most business is competitive. And so you're learning how to beat the other person. This is actually how do you connect and share with the other person. So it's part of that sort of the strange vagaries of the creative process. You need something which is tailored to that kind of thing. And at the moment, there's nothing out there. And that's why this program is so important. It's filling a gap that we should have filled a long time ago.
And I love the talk about collaborative there, because one of the biggest values I see from the incubation program is that ability for people within creative industries to come together and connect and also support each other on a journey. Leah, you have brought this all together, if you like, with the help of Jason and Lisa. For this specific incubator that we're running, there's 12 sessions. It kickstarts in early October. Maybe you could just paint a bit of a picture for us as to what people could experience if they jumped on this incubator, what they could experience as a part of that kind of journey over those 12 sessions.
Sure. And let me just provide a little bit of context by saying when I was designing the incubator, I really called to mind a handful of friends who are creative entrepreneurs with more established businesses and thought about the developmental journey that their businesses had gone through. And some of them will be joining us in the program as we go and sharing some of their stories. So Gretchen Hillhouse is going to be one of the first established creative entrepreneurs joining us in one of those first two sessions. And when I think about Gretchen's practice, it brings together threads of many different practitioners across architecture, art, design, photography, web development and digital delivery to create beautiful spaces for people in new property development or new built environments. So that's really what we're looking to achieve here, is weaving together the threads of thinking about how you can develop your own enterprise. But as you do that, developing your offer in conjunction with others, or thinking about how it fits into a more complete and beautiful service model for a group of clients. So let me walk you through the 12 sessions. 12 sessions over 3 months, 2 projects that you need to work on during that time. So the first session, when you join the incubator, you'll get to know each other as a community of creatives. You'll hear about what we're going to cover in each of those 12 sessions and the scope of the 2 projects that you'll be working on. Your first project is all about identity, because it's so important in business to be able to sell that elevator pitch around who you are, what you stand for, what your offer is, and what you want to contribute to in the world. So session 2 is all about finding your North Star, understanding what really drives your creative practice, and what does a beautiful outcome look like for you in terms of service and in terms of your business at maturity. So really thinking that through. And during that session, we'll hear from 2 established creative entrepreneurs about what drives them, their sense of vision and purpose, and their core values. Then our next session is around crisis to creativity, which is where Jason and Lisa come in, and they'll start to step us through their fantastic idea model. So at this stage, I'm going to hand over to Jason and Lisa to just briefly touch on the idea model.
You want to have a swing at that one, Lisa?
Oh, lovely, lovely. Okay, so, and I think this connects back into the difference between a creative incubator and a regular incubator as well, and that is that our business models in general seem to allow for the creative at one side and the commercialization at the other side, and like bridging the gap between the two is incredibly difficult. In fact, I think it's a gap no matter where we work. Well, the idea model really is about what is the thinking that you need to do in order to let that first thought really explode in terms of an idea. So develop tons and tons of options, and then yet be able to harness what's wonderful about that idea and turn it into something real that you can industrialize or commercialize, that you can get those real outcomes for. So the model really is about right thinking, right time, but harnessing ideas rather than just running one idea through a process. So we really want people to understand where their thinking preferences are, how to think differently, how to bring those ideas into land, and hopefully give them a wonderful repeatable process so that as they leave the incubator, the model will still make sense to them in their next venture, and the venture after that, and the venture after that.
So it's yeah, and it sounds like as you say, a methodology that you can take on, that you can learn and take on, and it actually sounds like a fun process to go through to me.
It is. We've been applying this model now for 20 years in industries across the country and now around the world. So we think we've found something that actually makes a lot of sense, because there's a process whereby in your creative endeavor, you have to breathe and be divergent and consider all the possibilities. But if you do that forever, you won't get anything done. So at some point, you've got to turn around and say, having breathed a lot, now I have to squeeze a bit. How do I go from a quantity of ideas to a quality of ideas? And what Lisa's really good at is getting that sequence right. So when am I being idealistic? When am I being practical? When am I being skeptical? You switch those threads of thinking that Leah talked about, turn them on the right way, in the right order. You can do it. You can basically do anything.
Great.
So people will have been exposed to all of these processes, Dave, within the first third of the incubator. So this is really just the beginning. Then we're asking people to present a pitch to each other. So participants are going to pitch their ideation for their business and where it's going to go as a result of their participation in the incubator. And that's we're learning about how to do that in session 4. In session 5, we're giving and receiving feedback to each other about what we've heard. And you're going to learn how to use the idea model and the different types of thinking as a way of making observations about others' business ideas and concepts and providing really specific, helpful, pragmatic feedback to each other. Session 6 is about delegation because in all of our experience working with creative people, I think Jason, Lisa and I agree that it's really difficult to be all things in growing a business. So there are some functions that you might like to really carve out and delegate to others. For example, I really hate bookkeeping and I work with the best accountant in Bendigo. If anyone wants to know who that is, I can send you a private message afterwards, but who just manages that for me in my business. And I'm ever so thankful for that. It's money incredibly well spent. So delegation mapping looks at where are your strengths as a creative entrepreneur and which aspects of your business are you going to push out to others. Session 7 is called the innovation clock. And I might ask Jason to just describe the idea of the innovation clock.
Okay, really quickly, when you look at the history of an idea, if you look at any business or any enterprise, imagine it's 9 o'clock in the morning and it's all about the vision and the passion and everyone's kind of risk-taking and trying new things. As the business matures, as it gets to sort of midday, and all of a sudden now it has assets and liabilities and a legal department, an HR department, it starts becoming a little bit of a machine. By the time it gets to 3 o'clock, it's now, this enormous, swollen, megalithic enterprise, which is just filled with people who are risk-averse and conservative. And that's pretty much when ideas die. It's when industries die, around about 4 o'clock. By the time you get to 6 o'clock, people are saying, well, what's the next thing? And that's when we start reinventing. So the idea process is cyclical. Ideas have a use-by date. And it's actually looking at what age, what period in the clock is my idea and what is the next step. And in a creative enterprise, what you're trying to do is not go all the way down to 6 o'clock, get to about 2 and then say, can we cut back to 7 and start reinventing ourselves? We've worked with so many businesses, and you show them this clock and they go, yeah, we're at number 5, or we're at 9 o'clock. It's a great insight in understanding the maturity of an idea.
Cool, thanks, Jace. And session 8 is called Strong Core. That's about emotional competence and resilience, and being able to withstand the amazing highs and the valley of loneliness that can come with starting and founding and growing your own business. So that one's really exploring how you're going to look after yourself, who's around you in your personal network, what strategies can you use when you feel like you're under pressure, and how are you going to keep each other going as a community? Can you become each other's cheer squad in keeping that momentum going when it gets a bit tough? Then
it's a topic that is extremely relevant. Leah, sorry to cut you off there, but it's a topic that's extremely relevant, I think, for today. Are You Okay Day? And there's a lot of talk about mental health with people who are entrepreneurs, who do start businesses and go through all those highs and lows that you talk about. So that sounds like a fantastic session.
Thanks, Dave. I think it's really important because the more responsibility you take on, when you start employing people, you do feel a sense of responsibility to them. And at this, time where there's so much uncertainty in the market and people are experiencing these fantastic opportunities and then kind of drops off and it's all a bit unknown. I imagine for our creative entrepreneurs, people are shouldering a lot of responsibility at the moment. And then we've got our pathway to maturity and growth coming into December. So that one's exploring what are the stages now in growing your business that you'd like to do and how should they be sequenced, because the sequencing will be different for everyone. So there is no cookie cutter, as Jason said, but there is a process, and Lisa intimated that too, around everyone needs to step through the same kind of destinations on their map, but you don't need to do them in the same sequence. So this idea about following your pathway but making it very unique to your own business, I think, is really important. Then we've got a piece on growth marketing around understanding markets are really just people. So how you're building up your network of relationships and whom you choose to invest your time and energy in first, and your approach in building that out. And then we'll have a break over Christmas, and in January, we'll get everyone to pitch their pathway to maturity to each other and to our established entrepreneurs who are going to be coming in and out of the program for some feedback. And finally, we've got a session on weaving it all together, and that's about how do you intend to remain part of a community of practice that helps continuously improve each other's businesses. So that's it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Leah. It sounds like a great program to me, obviously, and I'm really excited about it. I noticed that Keishi Tilakramesh there also thinks it sounds incredible. Thank you, Keishi. I am very intrigued to know if creative entrepreneur is another title and skill set that you are going to add to your very extensive resume, Keishi. It would be wonderful to see if you've got something brewing there, because whatever it is, I'm sure it would be fantastic, which kind of leads me on to my next question around ideal participants. There may be people out there who have the germ of an idea, let's say. There may be people out there who have kickstarted. They may be working part-time and doing their business part-time, or they may have gone in boots and all into a creative enterprise. So what stages are we looking for in this, Leah? And what are those ideal participants?
Well, I'm going to let Jason and Lisa talk to this one because I've just talked a lot. So there's 4 attributes that we're kind of looking for.
I would say that the creative process actually requires a fair degree of courage. You may be the only person who believes in this idea for quite some time, and I don't know how we can teach courage. So we have to find people who are prepared to, for quite some time, be very determined and very driven, and to have some courage in taking the risks and putting an idea out there. I think we also need people who are willing to learn. Like if you've only ever had one idea and you think it's perfect and no one else can help you improve on it, then you need to be able to let that go. And I think the other thing is we desperately need people who can collaborate. This is not about propelling one person into the future. This is about building a really vibrant community. So I think you've got to be able to connect with other people. Lisa, what would you add to that?
just on the open-minded thing, yeah, if you're just going to be invested in one idea, you'll go down with that idea. We need people who are able to think of the next idea and the next idea. So whether it's a brand new thing or something you've been working on for 2 years, there's always time to pause and think creatively about what that idea could be. And so everything we do in the incubator, it's just a chance to pause and to be able to say, would I, if it's an advanced thing, would I do it the same, or is there another opportunity in this thinking? We need people to be open to giving feedback and receiving feedback, and sometimes that's not easy, particularly if you're emotionally attached to the thing that you're working on. Hopefully you are emotionally attached to it, but not that attached that you can't see that there are opportunities for growth as you participate in the incubator.
Yeah, fantastic. And one of the things that strikes me is, we talk about collaboration and we talk about the people coming together and that working together. It seems like a very safe environment to test ideas out. So rather than just putting it out there to the world and seeing what happens, being able to get that feedback and from a cohort of people that you build trust with. So that sounds like a fantastic aspect of the program. We've got another question come through, Brent. On here, what's the process of protection of idea of your IP during the program if participants are sharing what they're doing or looking to do prior to going to market? And Leah, I think I saw your hand pop up there.
And indeed it did. So Brent, great question. And there's 3 bits to the answer. There's a participation agreement that participants have got to sign. It includes an ethical statement about how you agree to interact with other participants during the program. And part of the ethical statement is that you agree to the free exchange of ideas within your group. So we really want you to be able to share generously and to be able to do that in a holistic way so that other people are able to help you improve your idea and build on it. But there's also that requirement not to share other people's ideas outside of the incubator without their consent. And so that's captured in the ethical statement and in the participation agreement. And it will be made really clear in that initial onboarding session. If you think someone else in the incubator has got a brilliant idea and you want to connect them with a potential client, great, but ask them first. So it's coming back to good ethics and clarity about how we set up the group agreement within the incubator. But we really want to encourage the free exchange of ideas and flow of information within your group.
There's probably other thing I would throw onto that, and I think this is a problem that every creative entrepreneur faces: how much do I give away? Now, if you share nothing, you get nothing. If you share everything, you lose everything. And I think it's a question of how open are you prepared to be for the benefit of your project and the community. And I think there's nothing wrong with holding back a little bit of what you do, because then that part of it is yours. So it's a hard balance, and I think each one of us has to find a way of doing that.
And if I can just add one more thing, everyone who's entering the incubator will be entering with an idea that they are passionate and driven about. So as you're wondering about what other people's ideas are, you will have one yourself that you're very passionate about. And just sharing an idea with one person, I think sometimes can be a little risky because, there is no group to hold each other to account. But when there's, 10 of you or 15 of you, you're a community now and you hold each other to account for the behaviour you committed to at the start of the process.
Plus us.
Plus us, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. And Brent, I hope that answered your question. Now, if there's anybody watching who wants to find out more information about the incubation program, we will put the web address in the comments here where you can jump to our website, have a look through. There's a PDF you can download that has a little bit more detail in it as well. In that PDF, you will find a timeline. So it has all the sessions, when they are, the times, and exactly what they cover, dates and times and what they cover. So there's a little bit more information in there. And there's, of course, the application form on the webpage as well. So all the information is there. And if you want to be creative with your application, we do accept more creative applications. There is a form to fill in, but if you want to submit an application via video, song, dance, painting, whatever it might be, as long as you answer the questions or you address the questions in the application form, we would be excited to receive applications that maybe are a little less traditional in that way. One of the things that I will just touch on, I suppose, which isn't a question that has been asked here, but it's probably more a question that we've talked about as a group ourselves, is around the opportunity to connect as a group. We are obviously living through very strange and very challenging times at the moment, and Victoria especially at this time is doing it pretty tough. We are obviously all within different stages of lockdown at the moment, and that can make things difficult when traditionally what we would do is get a whole group of people together in a classroom, and we would connect, and we'd connect over the coffees that we have, and those little incidental conversations that happen in the breaks are really powerful and really important. And that's true for a program like this as well. Now, the program that we have designed is designed to be able to run online, completely online, and that is obviously how we will be at least kickstarting the program, if not doing the whole program like that. But we also have plans that, restrictions allowing and COVID protocols allowing, we would love to be able to get the group together in different ways, different imaginative and creative ways. Leah, do you want to talk to that a little bit? Just about ideas. None of this is set in stone because we don't know what's going to happen at this stage, but maybe just some of the flexible ideas that we're kind of playing with.
Thanks, Dave. So let me clarify, out of 12 sessions, 6 of them will definitely be delivered online. And so we're looking at 6 sessions that we could possibly bring in face-to-face, or other little catch-ups that happen in between. When you join the incubator, you're going to receive a most beautiful welcome pack that's got a few little goodies in there for you. So it's got some resources. It's got an amazing book called Real Artists Don't Starve, some gorgeous chocolate from Indulge, and you'll find out a little bit about the rest of the participant cohort. So when you join up, you'll need to submit your photo and a little bit of information about your business so we can share that with others in the group. And then we'd love you to buddy up with a small group of participants that you might catch up for a walk around the lake and a coffee, and to talk about your key takeaways from the previous session and how you're applying some of that to the idea that you've got about growing your business. So we'll look for informal ways that we can bring you together and that you can get to know each other as a cohort across those 12 sessions. So a coffee, a walk, a virtual catch-up in a smaller format, so 2 or 3 people together. Really, there are so many different ways that we're going to be able to build relationships and community throughout the incubator. It won't just be limited to the 12 Zoom sessions on Fridays.
If I could add something there as well, it's been really interesting the work that Lisa does working with remote communities to get around, for example, and write and perform music, or even build the musical instruments themselves. And what we're finding is that, we love getting together with a live group. It's our favorite thing. But the last 9 months has taught us that there's something quite powerful in being able to connect people who would not normally be able to make a trip or get together. Perhaps we're finding this is a golden era for people who are introverted. So we start to think that there are better and more ways of communicating and connecting than we had this time a year ago. At least you want to tell them about the Music Master, because I think it's a great example of this.
Oh, well, I'm from Gagari. Some of you will know it, some of you won't. It's the centre of the world. A bit north of Victoria. It's not far from Bendigo at all. And they've got an extraordinary music program there that, it depends on your taste in music. But anyway, through a Regional Arts Victoria grant, they got a wonderful opportunity to introduce junk art through Graham Leake, who came to mentor the town, and he now annually mentors the town to do a variety of things. And they've created beautiful, some breadcrumb musical instruments through the town. This is a town with a population of 194. They've got a junk orchestra that they've managed to build, that Graham designed a piece for, and the musical instruments are extraordinary. instead of a one instrument with 6 strings, it's 6 instruments with 1 string, like tin cans or what have you. And he has created a piece, which, by the way, the people of Big Airy launched there, but have taken it to Deakin Edge for a performance in the city. So it's extraordinary. But, you know, during the COVID times, these people who've got used to coming together were not able to do it anymore. So we've taken their monthly jam sessions onto Zoom, and I know there's a whole lot of issues with it, and there's a whole lot of groups who are saying we're not going to do it, we're not going to compromise our the performance of what we do, but we've actually done it. And now here we are 7 months in, and people are saying it has just saved them during this time. They get to break out, they get to play and connect in different ways. It's absolutely extraordinary. And so we don't have to re-engage them now when we're able to get back together. They're just raring to go.
And I guess also it's what happens in a challenge is it forces everyone to be more innovative. You know, if you have all the resources, if you're used to doing it a certain way, where's the pressure for you to be creative? But the minute you think, hey, we can't do it the way we normally do it, that's when people get inventive. So I think these sort of challenges are exactly what the creative brain is starved for very often.
Mm. One of the things I'm really excited about as well is I think there's some great points of difference with this incubator program. I think one of those is the regional aspect. Lisa, you've just talked about your connection there to the regional areas, and of course, Leah, you're living here. And for those who know Leah would know that she's got great business networks. So that's all covered. One question I have had from somebody who has actually applied for the program is around experience for the facilitator's experience within the creative industries. And I thought, Jason, this might be a great question to throw your way, because I believe you did your first voice over at the grand old age of 4 years old.
Yeah. I grew up in the advertising industry, and I was reading copy at 4 before I went to school. So my dad was a jazz musician who constantly reinvented his business. He was the only muso I'd ever met who'd made, you know, a fortune. But he probably switched into 6 different businesses during the time he was alive. So for me, creative entrepreneurship, I was marinated in that. I thought that's what everybody did. And it was only when I went into the larger world that I realized, no, that's quite unusual to do that. So I've grown up just accepting that you have ideas and then you harness them and you turn them into something that will give you an income and encourage you to create new things. So I've been through the theatre industry, the recording industry, went back into advertising for a little bit, but I'm all better now. And the last 20 years ago, I started this Minds at Work thing about being a sort of creative brains for hire to help organizations and communities to reinvent themselves. And there was no format, there was no template I could follow. I had to make that up. And so I think in a way that's been the journey. I've lived this pretty much my entire life. And the sort of course that Leah's talking about, I wish it had been around when I started this thing 20 years ago. Would have made my life a whole lot easier.
And that's actually another comment that's come my way a couple of times about when we started out, we wish there had been something like this. Now, remember, if you are watching online, do please put some questions, if you have any, in the comments on Facebook, and we will try and answer them for you. There is another question that came to me by a potential applicant for the program, and which I thought was worth asking for the panel here. And that was, we do have the sessions already locked in place. What happens if you're really interested in the program but you're unable to make 1 or 2 of the sessions? Leah, that's probably a good one for you.
That's a great question, Dave. So the way that the program's going to work is you'll receive a notification from us via email when there's new content available to watch. So for each of the 12 sessions, there'll be a short pre-recorded video that you log on and watch. And that's where we introduce you to the topic. We introduce the resource that we're going to be using during the live workshop, and talk you through what the outcomes of the workshop will be in terms of the stage for your own business development. For example, the first kind of step is around ideation, coming up with lots and lots of ideas and thinking through how many amazing options there are for you in exploring what your business could possibly become, whom you might serve, what the product suite might look like. So that's an introduction to that topic. There'll be an exercise for you to do before you come into the live webinar. And in the webinar, you'll be working with us around really exploring some of that in more depth. If you can't attend one of those sessions, you can still watch the video and complete the exercise in your own time. You can buddy up with someone who was in the live webinar to ask them about their take on where you're at, and you can have a catch-up session with me for up to an hour before the next session. So there's a lot of support built into this to make sure that people who need to miss 1 or 2 sessions, and for most people, we've all got heaps of competing commitments at the moment. I know lots of people are homeschooling. There's, lots going on in the business community around adapting to the different conditions and the change sort of restrictions. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to come in and out and to be able to miss 1 or 2 sessions and have a really successful experience. Having said that, if you needed to miss more than 3, we'd be really concerned about your commitment to the incubator. So we're looking for people who can say, look, I'm going to be available for most of it, but I will take you up on that offer around catching me up for 1 or 2.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Leah. So great support there. And in terms of being able to catch up with yourself, for example, in between. And I really like the idea of catching up with other participants as well as part of that. One of the great things about learning things is that when you then communicate that to other people, it cements the learning in place for you. Brent has asked another question there. Is the program suitable for established businesses with staff and processes, existing growth, etc., or will it be more suitable to startups or establishing new ideas businesses?
Can I have a go at that one?
Absolutely, Jason. Yeah.
Most of our clients, in fact, pretty much all of our clients, are established businesses that now need new ideas to rethink themselves. So I think any business that is ready to rethink itself or to reinvent itself or to figure out what the next iteration of its business is, this program is suitable. So you could be a startup, you could be my company is 20 years old, I would do this course because you can never stop learning and you can always see what is the next version. So long as there's creative growth in your business, I think this fits. If you're done and dusted and ready to kind of put up the boots, maybe not.
I think, and just as you were saying before, Dave, about if you buddy up with other people, being able to relearn yourself as you're explaining it, it gives an opportunity that the people who are participating in the incubator, that they then get to take that thinking and that messaging back to their own staff, just to reflect and start to share that similar language. I think it can be very powerful.
Can I share an example, Dave?
Yeah.
So Jace, Lisa and I have all been in business for a long time, and we have worked in the space that we're in for the incubator for some years. But now we find ourselves in a situation where we need to rapidly adapt our processes to be delivering education and coaching online. So we're using the same set of processes we'll be teaching in the incubator around thinking your way through what's possible in the new context. Who could I team up with? How am I going to test my ideas so that I know which ones are going to fly in the market and limit the amount of cash I'm going to burn in the development phase? And how am I actually going to act and learn the new skills, channels, tools to get my offering to a new market in this changed set of conditions? So you might have an established business, but you've identified a completely different way of working, or a need or opportunity to work completely differently at the moment. And this process is going to be great for that, and great for finding others you can collaborate with to help you get there.
Well, and even alternative to that, Leah, is it might just confirm that everything you're doing makes a whole lot of sense and you should just keep doing it.
Yeah, I think the other part of that also is that from our perspective, we want to be able to tap into the experience of the people who are doing the course. So it's not as though they are empty vessels and we're just pouring wisdom into them. We actually want to leverage from what we are learning as entrepreneurs and creative people. So people who've already got some experience have a lot to contribute to this course as well. So it's not just what can you get out of this, it's also what can you learn by giving. That's part of this whole collaborative ethos.
Great, fantastic. I think that was an excellent and comprehensive answer. So hopefully that's answered your question there, Brent. Cheers, good feedback. So yes, I think it did. What you just touched on there, all of you, especially there, Jason, about bringing people together, about learning from others and others teaching other people in terms of their own experience. Are there some other benefits to be gained like that from bringing a group of creatives together in a program like this, apart from the skills that we learn and the tools, the practical tools that we pick up as part of the program through the course material and come to the webinars? Are there some other benefits that come from that, bringing that group of creatives together?
Where do you want to start? I mean, the thing is that the most important thing you can say to anyone is it's not just you. If you're trying to build a business, that's a pretty lonely kind of experience. If you're trying to build a business from a brand new idea, that's even harder. And to have a community of people who are going through what you're going through and who understand, that's invaluable. So it's hard to even explain to your family sometimes what you're trying to do. But someone else who can understand your trials, that's an amazing resource. I think the other thing that's really important is that we believe that great minds don't think alike. In order to advance an idea, you need psychodiversity. I'm someone who finds optimism and creativity very easy, but I'm not a very skeptical person. And yet to make a business work, you need skepticism, which means I need access to people who think differently to me. So I think it's not just that there's the tools and all the rest of it. I think there's this camaraderie, but also you now have a resource of all of these different minds that do the kind of thinking that perhaps doesn't come to you naturally. How about you, Lise?
Well, I've just, Leah sort of touched on it before, but you will now have access to the network of every person who's in this incubator. So if there's a wonderful thing happening in Bendigo that you're not aware of, you'll find out. If there is a particular market, you'll find out. Maybe you've got this idea and somebody else has got this idea, and as individual ideas, they're wonderful. But you might hook up and say, this thing would be amazing if we linked it together. I mean, we don't know what those outcomes will be, but we certainly know you don't get any of that if you're doing it by yourself.
Absolutely. And that's one of the really exciting things for me about this program. When we, pardon me, when we set up the Emporium Creative Hub, one of the things that we talked about was, because we are a co-working space, but obviously that's a bit of a challenge in the current situation to have people coming into a co-working space together and working. But one of the things that we were excited about is what happens when you get all those creatives in that physical space together and having those conversations together at the water cooler. We don't have a water cooler in here, but at the water cooler, and seeing what comes from those, the opportunities that are out there that you're not aware of, the collaborations and projects that can take place. And so I think this business incubation program is a fantastic way to kind of make that happen for a lot of people.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, sure.
What's really interesting when you look in the history of innovation, if you take something like, I mean, most people know the story about the Post-it note. You know, this is 3M is an adhesives company, and they make a glue that doesn't stick. But that involved two people. There was the chemist who found a glue that didn't stick, and there was, I think, a guy in accounts who was part of a choir who couldn't keep the notes in his songbook because he'd open it and it would fall out. So one of them could see a problem that didn't have a solution, and the other one saw a solution that didn't have a problem. And it's when they connect to go, oh, you know where you could use that? You could use this here. And so it's really about these incidental connections, because each one of us can only see part of our own idea. We need other people to connect it to the community and the market and the rest of the world. So that's an invaluable resource. And it doesn't have to be physical. You just have to have other people look at your ideas and see things that you're too close to it to notice.
Fantastic example.
I think sometimes when you're at the start of your first business, you can get hung up on being concerned about what does the contracting mechanism look like if I was going to collaborate with someone else. Is it a joint venture? Is it a partnership? How am I going to put boundaries around it to keep myself and my ideas safe? So the beauty of an incubator is you get to experience, it's far more about the relationship that you're building with that other person, the shared values that you've got, and being able to build up trust in a commercial relationship before you even start to talk about what does the structure of an agreement look like. And it gives you an opportunity to dip your toe in the water and experience some of that collaboration before you're outside of the community doing that off your own bat. I see Brent's asked there, Dave, how many people can be part of the program?
Mm-hmm.
So Brent, we're thinking kind of between 15 and 20. We'd love to have at least 15 people to have the richness and diversity of perspective and to make sure there are lots of ideas to bounce around. We wouldn't want to have more than 22 or 23, so everyone's voice can be heard during those live sessions. And so we've got enough time to be able to devote to each of you and make sure you get the outcome you're looking for.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your questions, Brent. Hope they have been answered. Pardon me, we are drawing to the end of this session now. So if people are watching and they do have any other questions, now would be a great time to ask them. Jason, Leah, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about this. It's something that I'm really excited about. I think, like as we've described, it's something that's unique, and that is reflected, I think, in some of the inquiries that I've had from outside the region. And we have piqued people's interest outside of the region because they say there's nothing like this. There's incubators, but specifically for creative industries. It's garnered quite a lot of interest. So I think it's great that we're doing something a little bit unique. And I'm really excited about it. Are there any closing comments that you guys wanted to wrap up with?
Look, I've got one, and that is that I believe that ideas have use-by dates. And so when you look at a community that has an industry, it might have been built on an idea from the 1800s. Well, that idea is not going to last forever. So look at any town. It was built by creative people who saw a creative possibility. But 100 years later, perhaps it's tapped out. And so investing in creative entrepreneurship, or we're finding the next generation of captains of industry. We're finding the people who will build the future of these towns and these communities. So this isn't just about, the livelihood and the likelihood of one idea. It's actually about reshaping economies. So I think that's why I'm excited about this, because I think it's potentially that big a deal.
Great.
And I would just add to that, Leah spoke about identity earlier. As a country person, I think identity is one of the things that really holds a lot of communities back from whatever kind of revitalisation they're doing, whether it be, a dairying community that's, that industry's dying. And so they think, well, that's all we can be, that's all we are. So I think being able to sort of claim the creative identity for Bendigo is important, beyond agriculture, beyond gold, beyond Sydney Meyer, who was my, that first company I ever worked for. The idea that, you get to brand this place in such a way, I think, is incredibly exciting.
Absolutely, Lisa. And it's a fantastic point you make, Lisa. I mean, many people would know that we are an initiative of Creative Victoria. And one of the reasons that they felt that there was an opportunity to invest in Bendigo for a creative industries hub because we do have that burgeoning reputation for creativity and arts and culture here. And there is a fantastic amount of people with great ideas that I'm talking to all the time and finding out about. And it's really exciting, I think, to be able to offer those kinds of people this kind of assistance to be able to take those ideas further and take them forward. Leah, any closing comments from yourself?
I just want to address, so Casey made a comment earlier about an idea that she had around an online governance course for young people. And I just wanted to make the comment that our interpretation of creative industry here is incredibly broad. If it's something that's new, where you're combining a whole lot of different disciplines and you're meeting a need in a market that's not being met at the moment, and you're going to apply your creativity and innovation around how you meet that need, you meet our criteria. So if you're listening to this thinking, this is a really interesting concept, I'm not sure that my idea really meets the guidelines, please just pick up the phone or shoot us an email and test it out with us. Don't assume that you're out. yourself. It would be really good to have lots of applications and expressions of interest, and we're happy to chat with people to help you think your way through whether this is a good fit for you. Likewise, if you can think of someone else you know who might benefit from this experience, please tap them on the shoulder, because these kind of opportunities don't come around that often. If you were going to pay for it being part of an incubation experience like this without the government bringing the program to Bendigo, it would cost a small fortune. So this is a terrific chance to access some great resources and bounce off your peers. Please make sure as many people know about it as possible.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that, Leah. Thank you very much. So it is absolutely fantastic value for the connections, the information, the tools that you get through as a part of this incubator program. And in terms of picking up the phone and giving us a call, absolutely. So there's a couple of things you can do here. One of them is as part of the website, you can book in a chat with either myself and or Leah regarding this program, a 15-minute chat. So you just click on the button and book a time, and we can have that chat with you. Very happy to do that. And then obviously in the comments there, you will see that our email address, if you prefer to communicate by email, very happy to do that as well. But very happy to have a conversation in person or via email if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. The applications are now open. Obviously, we already have a number of applications come in, which is fantastic. Applications actually close on Sunday, the 27th of September, and the program kicks off on Friday, the 9th of October. So if you are interested, you do still have a couple of weeks, but I do encourage you to get in sooner rather than later, obviously, because we do like to have a look at those applications. And yeah, if you have any questions, the details are there. Leah, Lisa, Jason, thank you so much for your time today. Really excited to be working with you in bringing this incubator to life, and looking forward to seeing some of these creative ideas come to life.
Me too. See you in there.
Cool. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.